This video is the behind the scenes strategy and stories behind the Mandamus lawsuit that we filed. There's these 7 families that their case was just getting dragged on, and they had to sue the government in order to even drive and get to work and care for their loved ones. So we filed a Mandamus action. But in that other video, we just talked about the strategy. We went back to the government's own statistics in 2017, 18, 19, 20. We showed the government this is how fast you used to do it in every single quarter of every single year, and this is what we were expecting, and this is what they relied on. However, we understand COVID, but it is still unreasonable because it's way too long. In another video, we talk about what is a mandamus. 1, he or she has a clear right to the relief requested. 2, the defendant has a clear duty to perform the act in question. And 3, no other adequate remedy is available. There's so much more to that, and so we want to create this video to kind of share the behind the scenes. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Tsang and Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. So the legal problem in this case was that these 7 families effectively was having their human rights taken away from them. If you think that being able to work, being able to drive, being able to visit your loved ones is a human right. I think so, so we made that argument, right? And so because your immigration status affects everything else in your life, right? If you don't have your immigration status, you have a hard time getting a driver's license in some states. In some states you can, in some states you can't. Our clients span across the US from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. And so different states have different policies, and so we were able to include a lot of that. So one of the first things I want to talk about in this video is why we kind of combined and why we kind of went out and researched to try to find these different clients. It's like a chainmail, right? The more people that joins in, the stronger each one is. The courts are more likely to take you seriously if it's a widespread problem that touches on different sectors, different socioeconomic classes, races, etc. And so the first thing we did was we tried to find as many people with the same problem, because we had one client already. So it's like, okay, well, to strengthen your case, it will be better if we had more people together, right? So we went on a search and we found like 15, 20 other people who signed up, who's talking about it. But out of that 15 or 20, eventually it dwindled down just to the 7. But 7 was good enough. Now, it wasn't because, they didn't want to do it. It's also because of the second factor, timing. The whole reason why we're doing this action is because we want to speed up the process of the government adjudicating a work permit and a travel permit. What's the point of waiting additional 5 months or 6 months to collect all the plaintiffs to sue? By that time, the case might already get approved. So we try to make the case succinct. We try to find as many people, bring down the cost of the litigation. We have to prepare for a potential 6 months to a year-long litigation, because that's just how mandamuses are. Luckily, in the end, we filed it within a month. The case got approved, so everybody was obviously thrilled because that was an unheard of success for our firm as well. And so we're super happy. But just before even filing it, there's all this calculation that happened behind the scenes, right? How many people should join? What is the budget for everybody, and how much resource can we devote to it? So now let's talk about teams. There's actually 3 teams that were needed to do this in this timeline, in this scenario. The first team is the account managers that can talk to all the potential other law firms, all the potential clients, review their story and make adjudication and sign retainers and set expectations. Then there were the fact finders, right? To build any case well, you need people to research, to argue, to prepare everything together. So we had a whole team of people just trying to dig into this particular thing. Now, of course, we could just fill out a form and say the clients have been waiting for too long. This is the average time. They've been waiting for longer than that, so we're suing you, right? It could just be a 2-page brief, but that's not our style, right? We will want to make the best possible argument, and we have 2 weeks to do it. So we have a team of people making these arguments. So we prepared a 40-page attorney brief suing the government. The third team is now the attorney team, right? And so the attorneys now gathering all the facts, gathering all the arguments, communicating with the courts, communicating with the government, and putting everything together, make sure everything is perfect. Generally, we don't do mandamus actions because there's so much risk, there's so much fear, there's so much cost. And there's other ways to achieve your goal. Go to the field offices and try to get directors to expedite the process. If you need an advanced parole, you have a sympathetic story, the field office at InfoPass can potentially expedite it, and then now you're able to fly. And so there's different patchwork solutions. But in this day and age, sometimes you just can't do it anymore. The government is, for all sorts of reasons, they're backlogged with cases, they're understaffed, they're hired freezing, they almost went bankrupt. it's a nightmare, and the lowest priority for the government is these reentry permits and advance paroles. But it has a really big impact on a lot of people's lives. So when we look into the future, USCIS is just going to get more and more bogged up with all sorts of stuff, right? With immigration courts potentially closing, cases transferring back to USCIS, with more and more humanitarian issues at the border, across the pond in Europe and Asia, and there's all sorts of issues that they have to do, and they're understaffed, they're on a hiring freeze, and they cannot hire enough people, and we hear that internally. And when we see USCIS denying USCIS field office for expedite requests, when there's no other solution, mandamus is the only way. Then we assemble our team and we do that. Mandamuses are great. We historically used it a lot for N-400 citizenship cases because it takes too long for somebody to get their citizenship. And the consequence of not getting your citizenship is pretty severe. You don't get the US passport, that leads to all sorts of issues, and you don't get to vote. That is a fundamental right, right? And so that is so important that when the government delays it by months and years, especially when the election is rolling around, it's quite powerful. We've never used it for a work permit kind of a situation because it's like so minor. It's a 765 form, it's I-131 form. Why? But if people cannot work, people cannot drive, people cannot fly to see their sick relatives, it is pretty heartbreaking. So this is a perfect example why I love what I do. And if you have any questions about mandamus, feel free to reach out. Would love to share with you. Take care.